Hello guys, we ended up our first tutorial at this point where our animation was rendering like this, but we don't have the video out of this. So in this part we will try to get a render from our scene so we can play a video like this from this one to something like which we have in our video format. So let's start. First, if we go to shading view, viewport shading, this option, we can see that there is no light in our scene. So let's add some lighting here. I am using the polyheaven add-on to add lightings. You can add HDRI, whatever HDRI you like, and whatever resources you want to add light from. So let's say we are shooting this scene in indoor. Let's find out some indoor, and this lighting looks good, but we have something in the background, so let's remove that. Go to the render setting, go to film area, and then from the film section click on transparent, and now we have some lighting, but we cannot render our image or animation from this because we don't have any camera at this moment. So let's add a camera. Go to add, click on camera, and now we have a camera, but currently we don't see anything in our camera because our camera has been added in our origin point, and that origin point is this one, and the camera is facing down. So let's fix this. Let's bring up the camera. Now the camera is up and we can see something in the camera, and that is something like this, which is not good. So let's rotate our camera as our animation is going on. Let's find out a curve, the very first curve from which we started on. We know that this was created from the curve, so let's retrieve the curve from here. Shift D to duplicate and then move it here, and let's go to the geometry nodes and get the pure curve out of it. Blender crashed out. Sorry, our blender was crashed, so I again open this from the previous point saved file. Alright, let's again duplicate, move it here, go to the geometry nodes, separate the file, separate this curve, and then remove these points to get our original curve. And let's connect this to this one, and now we have our original curve back. Okay, let's go to the layout, and now we have our original curve back. So what we want to is we can track the movement of these tiles when in the animation. Let's go to the timeline area. So when we are here, we want our camera to focus here, but when we are here, we want to move our camera alongside this. So this curve can help us select the curve, move it to the curve section, G up, and let's reset its location. I just pressed option G. Screencast, cast keys. So we can see that this is okayish. Now what we can do is add an empty object in here and then move that object with this curve and then drag that object with our camera, so our camera will follow that object and camera will start moving like that. So let's add an add empty, and let's say this is a plane axis and we can name is focus point, and let's go to select the focus point here, go to constraints and add a constraint follow path, and when which path this empty should follow, let's select our this curve and name it the path. Now this is a curved path and our focus point will follow this path because we have added a constraint. Let's click on follow curve and animate path, but if we go to the path and then this data area, this will be in completed in 100 frames, but our animation will end in about 930 frames. So you can see that this point from this is our empty, and let's see when we move the frames, that is moving too fast. So let's go to the path data and make it to the 930. So this will complete the path in the 930 frames and it will follow along our tiles. So here we can see our point is going forward from the tiles, and at some point at this point the tiles have matched to our point, and then tiles will go forward than our point. At this point our point is lagging behind from the tiles. So to fix this, what we can do is select path, go to data area, and then on the first frame make it 1100, not 1000, sorry, 1100, and place a keyframe animation. This is still fast. Let's go to the frame 1 and move it way higher, and then place a key animation again. Let's see, now it is moving along, but now at this point the tiles moved away forward than our point. So what we need to do is at this point reduce and again a keyframe, and at this point reduce it more and place a keyframe, and at this point reduce more, place a keyframe, at this point let's remove these keyframes. We don't need them like too close. What we can do is go there and move it along, and then place a keyframe and go something like here, and move it back. At at this point place a keyframe. This will automatically reduce adjust the speed. the, you can see that now the tiles and the points are in sync with each other. So if at the some point like this one, we can reduce it further and place another keyframe, and speed between these 2 points will automatically be adjusted. And at this point again like this. So now we have our focus point following our tiles nicely. Now let's add some constraints to our camera so it start following. Select the camera and then go to the constraints area and add a constraint follow path, and path it should follow the same path that our focus point is following, and then increase some offset from here so that camera is a little bit lagging behind. Something like this. And now if we see our camera is facing somewhere else and we want it to be facing on this point, so let's add another constraint and add track to, and then select focus point. Select camera, add constraint, track to, and focus point. And now our camera is focusing our point, and here we go. Now our camera is nicely following the rotation of the tiles as well as the animation. And that's it. Now the next part is we added the HDRI, right? Go. I think, yeah, there is light. So if we at any point in the animation, if we click on render image, then we will be having an image. So at this point this does not look nice because everything is in white. So let's add some colors. You can add material from anywhere you want to. So let's go to the first frame, select this one, go to materials, new, or better we can go to our polyheaven add-on and find textures, and let's apply some textures from here. Now we have added material on this object. Select all the objects make sure the object which has the material is selected object like this one, and then Control L, link materials, and now we have linked the materials and all of our tiles have been changed. Let's see what we see in the render image now. Yeah, sure. Let's add some material to our plane as well. Uh-oh. Marble. And this is our marble plane, and this is the image. Yeah, let's create a material by ourselves to make these tiles more obvious. Go to the material, delete this one, add new, add some color, and roughness should be 0, and then select all the tiles. Make sure you select the material ones at the last, and then go to object. Use the shortcut Control L and link materials, and now material is applied to all the tiles. And let's go. Okay, great. Okay, I did not like the preset availables, the textures from my the poly heaven, so I created one by myself. These are the settings of the material. If you want to create, just go to the we were there in the layout shading, just go to the shading area and then select the marble and then create here new one, and then click new, and then you can copy these settings if you want to, but if you want to use your own material you can use your one. So this one Voronoi texture, and the noise texture, color is going to vector, and then distance is going to color remap factor, and then color going to base color, and then this glossy BSDF, and then mix shader, glossy going to mix shader, and then the principal BSDF is going to shader. You can control the factor from here, so I am doing this to 1, and then the final output to this one. So I named this one as marble. I am going to delete this one. So this one is marble, and I have this texture available, new material available for me to use, so I am going to use this one. Let's go back to the layout, select go to the first frame, select this one, and then first select this one and then select the plane, Control L, and then link materials. And now we have this material. Just select all of the tiles now, click on the last one to make it this selection, active selection, and now go to again, select all, make sure that the last one is selected with the material, and then click Control and then link material. Let's see what our camera sees now. This is not much distinguishable from the plane. Let's see by playing this. Oh, this is not satisfying, so let's create another material for our tiles. Again, go to shading, just layout, first frame, and then select this one, go to shading, okay, create a new marble. Zero 0.9. Lower that. This one looks fine. Okay, this material is marble tile, and then now select all the tiles. Make sure the active selection is our new material. Control L and then link materials. And now some modification happened, but still this is not satisfying. Okay, I have done a lot of trials, and now this one looks fine. Now we have lighting, we have camera tracking, and we have linked the materials to these tiles and our plain ground. But there is an issue that when we render, let's say at this point, Some of the points in our animation will be like this. So here is our plane, but this one is empty. So what we can do is fill this point by creating a cube. So this will be like inside a room. Let's create a cube instead of the plane. Go to frame number 1, stop the animation and create a cube. Add mesh and then cube, and then in the select the cube, go to edit mode, shift Z and control Z, sorry. This will make our origin point to the ground. So when we will start scaling our cube, it will be scaled from this point. So ground will always be on the ground. So let's remove this plane and scale this cube. This is our cube, and now we are inside the cube. Let's link the material of the new cube. Select the cube M and then scene setup. This is our cube. Select the cube and the plane afterwards. Cube, then plane, and control L. We are in object mode, plane, control L, link materials, and hide the plane. And here we go inside the cube, and this is our final animation. Let's play the animation. Here we go. It's fantastic. Now let's add some text. Go to add text. In the edit mode, change the text. Actually, this cube is creating problems. Let's hide the cube for now. Visible the plane. Get outside from the cube and move our text wherever we want to. Let's say R X and 90. This is our text. Go to text area and there is some option to extrude. In the geometry, increase the extrude, and there we go. Copy this text and then anything from where we want to copy our material, and then link material, and now our text has the new material. And that's it. Let's put the text behind. and let's rotate it like this. Rotate something like this, and then now we can hide our plane and get our cube back. Let's go to the camera view. And there is our text which will be visible at this point. So let's move it from here to here. And rotate it. And that's it. In the last frames of our scene, the text will be visible. Let's see. These frames are also getting the text in. There we go. Now to get this out of the blender inside the video, so we need to render it, and depending on your PC's specifications, renders could take time. To make it more realistic, we can go to the render settings, render engine to recycles, and then from here select GPU compute if that option is available on your side. Select denoise, select these, same settings in the render area as well. But these cycles option might take a lot of time. Rendering engine as cycles, this will create more realistic views, but this will take a lot of time. As you can see that only 6 samples have been rendered out of 1024 samples. You can set these limits from here. So to avoid this, I am going to render it in the EEVE engine, and from here, just to reduce our viewport more, we can delete the non-used options. Non-used tiles which we created just for backup. Select them, go to frame number 1, stack them, delete. Now we have only the available tiles which we want to render. We need to delete this plane. This camera icon is disabled, and then if we disable this camera icon, then it will not be rendered. But if we disable this eye icon, then this will be hidden from the viewport, and if we disable this selection icon, then this will not be, we will not be able to select this. This is very handy when we want to select with the box, but we don't want some objects to be selected. So now we don't need this plane, so we can safely delete this. we need this cube, so we can enable this cube. We don't need these curves to be visible, so when we go to the path, disable this from the render area, like disable the icon, and it will be disabling the rendering area, and we are good to go for rendering. To create the render, just first let's configure our output setting. These are the resolutions 1920 by 1080, and these are the settings we want to export this animation to. So most of the cases we don't want to use the FFmpeg video directly, because at any point something happens, the blender crashes or power outage or anything bad happens, then we will not be able to retrieve this rendered amount of frames. So what we do instead, we go to the PNGs, export this animation into PNGs, and then combine those PNGs in any video software, and even the Blender has that option as well, and then change those PNG frames into a video animation. So in this case we don't need the RGB alpha, we don't have alpha channel, so RGB is fine. And other settings, compression, whatever you want, you can choose whatever you want, but if you select like more compression, the size will be less, but the render time will be much more higher. We can go with the 15% compression, and that will create our animation nicely. So now we need to select the folder in which we want to save our output of this render. And here I have selected the output folder, and now I will go into render and then render animation. If in the future, like after 12 or 13 frames, something bad happens, we can click on this override, disable this override checkbox, then it will start rendering from, let's say, the 14 frames I have already been rendered, then it will start from the 15th frame. So let's go into render and then render animation, and it will start rendering our animation. One more thing which I want to explain here. See this frame 1, and it took 13 seconds, and the frame 2, it took 13.56 seconds, and with frame 3 this took 13.39 seconds. So we have the 1000 frames in our scene, so it might take like 4 or 5 hours to render. So we with this speed we have to keep this process happening, and then maybe we can start rendering at the night, and then we go to sleep, and when we wake up, the animation would have been rendered. So let's go to the folder where it is saving, and I will show you there that what has been happened after this rendering is finished. Hello, now we are here in the new project, like file, new, general, and from here go to the video editing and then video editing, and the interface will change like this. So hopefully you have now rendered files. Let's say those files are the image files. How to create those files into a video format? So here we will go to the image, in this, like in the video editing space, click on add image sequence and then select the renders. So hopefully your render has been completed successfully, and you have the 1000 images. Let me know now let me tell you how to create those images into a video format, so you can share it on YouTube or wherever you want to. So open a new project in the Blender and then go to the this one is the new project. Go to the video editing tab. If this is not visible, you might be able to get it by clicking on this plus button and then video editing and then video editing. So this one, this will open this video editing space on your side. So when you have that on your side, just click on the add and then image sequence and go to your folder wherever you have saved that. This one is for me on the from my prep. These images are this final rendered images, and these are 2000 images instead of 1000, because when I was creating this for myself, then I was creating it on 2000 frames. So that's from this panel. To select all of them, press A from your keyboard and then it will select all, and then select press on the add image strip. Once the add image strip is when you click on that button, you will see that the images have been added to your timeline. And now from here you can see by pressing space bar or these buttons. So currently our working area is only 250 frames maybe. So to increase this, we go to this end frame and press enter the desired number of frames here. You will see that it has already automatically selected that frame rate is 24 frame per second and the resolution is 1920 by 1080. Usually this will be picked up from your settings, like when we were working in the Blender, then these settings were there, 24 frames per second and 1920 by 1080. If you want to change that, you can do so, but 24 is fine because the images rendered are from the 24 fps settings. So now this is our video, and what we have to do is just render it. Go to the render settings, and these are the same, sorry. Go to the output settings. This is the output setting, and select where you want to save your file. So if I am going to select, I will be selecting that this one, renders video, and from there press accept. Now this is the location where your video will be saved, and from here you can change this to FFmpeg and then go to the render and render animation, and this will start rendering your animation. You can see that frames are rendering to high speed. This speed is not like going to take all the time which it took to render from the previous project where we were designing those scene, where we were designing that scene from scratch. Now we have the scene, but we are going to only create from these images to a video, so this will render much more faster. So after this is complete, you can see the final output, and here is our final output. You can see it here. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and this might be tedious for you or more time consuming and time taking if you tried this for the very first time. And welcome to the journey of your learning in the 3D space, and welcome to the Blender 3D. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good day till we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.